Water is perhaps one of the most important substances in our world. In fact, about 60% of the human body is made out of water, and our planet is about 70% water also. So this liquid is very important for living beings. But despite its relevance and absolute importance for us, water is surprisingly very cheap. In the US, the average cost of a gallon of water is $1.50. For most, that's pretty affordable. And there are other countries that are not as lucky, and even though water is indeed cheap, they do not have access to it. But one thing is a fact, there are way more expensive liquids out there. We use some of them on a regular basis, but some others are not necessarily for all of us. In today's video, I'll be showing you 10 of the most expensive liquids in the world. Number 10. Champaca Essential Oil. As of today, there are many people around the world who rely on the use of essential oils for aromatherapy and medicinal purposes. And while there is not enough proof that essential oils can treat major conditions, they have definitely been helpful through their soothing effects. As they grew in popularity, more people began to develop essential oils from every possible plant. But there's one of them that can really burn a hole in your pocket, and that is the Champaca Essential Oil. Just an ounce of this prestigious oil can easily cost you more than $2,000. And trust me, if you start using essential oils, you're probably going to want to get more than just an ounce. The reason why this oil is so expensive is due to the fact that the plant is exclusive to the west side of the Asian continent, and the process to get the oil from the flower is pretty complex. However, it's worth the cost for whoever decides to pay this much for it. Apparently, it has regenerative properties and has been helpful for people with wounds from acne, wrinkles, and spots on their skin. It can also be used as a perfume. Oh man, it sounds like this little ounce of oil can be pretty useful. I'm just gonna spend my entire paycheck on this thing. Number 9. Human blood. If you're alive today, then there's blood running inside of you. A hard to believe fact, I know. But do you know how expensive it can be to purchase one little bag of this vital liquid? In America, a pint of blood can cost anything between $180 to $300. That means a gallon can easily cost more than, say it with me, $2,000. And that's usually because processing and storing the blood takes a lot of work, and the people giving their blood can also receive a compensation. Now, the value of blood goes beyond what money can pay. A blood transfusion can easily save someone's life by giving them the oxygen and red cells necessary to improve their system. So, if you ever get a chance to donate blood, you should totally go for it. You might not get paid a lot for it, but you can make a difference in someone's life. Number 8. GHB. GHB stands for gamma hydroxybutyric acid. GHB is used to treat some neurological conditions, and some people even use it to treat alcohol problems. In the medical field, it can also be used as an anesthetic. So, even though sometimes some people have a hard time pronouncing the name of this liquid, it's very good to know its properties, especially if you ever decide to become a doctor or to get a job in the medical field. And the reason why GHB made it to this list is because a gallon of this acid alone can cost around $2,210 or more. And in some countries, the selling of GHB is illegal. In fact, this liquid can actually create addiction, and withdrawal from it can produce severe and uncomfortable symptoms. It can also lead to terrible consequences if people abuse its use and become victims of an overdose. That's why most countries regulate its use. Number 7. Nail polish. You might find it hard to believe, but there's actually one type of nail polish that is so expensive that we had to include it on this list. The name of the brand is Essie, and a single bottle can cost you about $9. Now, do keep in mind that a bottle of nail polish only has as little as 15 milliliters. That is almost nothing. If you were to buy a gallon of this fancy liquid, then you'd be spending more than, say it with me, $2,000. And of course, no one needs that much nail polish in one go. I hope. However, when you look at its price, you realize that it is pretty pricey for a liquid. And apparently, there are other brands out there who claim to have more expensive and fancier options than this one. There's one brand that sells a small bottle for $120, and I can't even believe that. A gallon of that would cost an absolute fortune. Luckily, there are cheap brands in the market, so you don't need to spend that much on this liquid. Number 6. Black printer ink. Unless you actually work in an office, and this might be actually shocking to you, black printer ink. Again, you don't have to buy gallons of it, but I'm pretty sure that you buy more than one cartridge every year. If you manage to put all of the ink that you've used in a gallon, you'd be talking about $2,500 worth of ink. That's just... I don't even begin to know. It honestly shouldn't surprise you though, since you probably spend quite a high amount of money every time you have to refill your printer. And keep in mind, every printer has its own type of cartridge, so you can't just get a cheap one. Unless you go for generic options, of course. Luckily, we're at a time in history in which printing stuff out is becoming less popular. Now you can sign and share documents online without the need of printing them out. There will come a day in which printing will be so obsolete that we're not going to have to worry about these crazy prices anymore. Number 5. Insulin. I really do hate that I have to include this liquid on this list, especially since it's so vital for the well-being of so many people around the world who have diabetes. The truth is, insulin is still one of the most expensive liquids in many parts of the world. A gallon of insulin is valued at more than $13,000. And of course, no one needs a gallon to control their glucose, but if you look at it, people are definitely spending a lot of money since they have to purchase it on a regular basis. While some people are lucky enough to have insurance, others have to pay these crazy amounts out of their own pockets. And even if they are insured, there's still a lot of strict rules to determine whether they're eligible to get it paid for or not. Hopefully something can be done about this. Diabetes is no fun, and people shouldn't be paying high prices for something that can help improve their lifestyle, and in some cases, save them as well. Let's move on to a cheerier topic. Number 4. Chanel No. 5. If you're a fan of perfumes, then you probably know about Chanel No. 5. In fact, you might even own a bottle if you have the money for it. And if that's the case, I really do hope you're taking good care of that perfume, as it is considered one of the most popular and most expensive perfumes in the world. A gallon of this fragrance is valued at $23,300. In fact, in the early 2000s, filmmaker Baz Luhrmann made a film commercial for the fragrance. It featured Nicole Kidman, and it had a budget of $33 million, even though the whole thing only lasts 3 minutes. The production itself is considered to be the most expensive commercial that was ever made. But I guess an expensive perfume deserves expensive advertising. The fragrance of Chanel No. 5 is said to be a mix of rare flowers and a rare root. And rare things are what makes things more expensive than they should be, of course. Number 3. King Cobra Venom. Okay, why in the world would anyone put their life at risk just to get venom out of a snake? Well, the venom is worth more than $130,000 per gallon, and I'm sure a lot of people would jump on the opportunity to get this rare substance. It has been said that the venom of the king cobra has medicinal properties that can help cure Alzheimer's, Parkinson's disease, schizophrenia, and it can also help cure depression. But you gotta keep in mind that the king cobra is one of the most poisonous snakes in the world. A single bite has enough venom to kill an elephant. It has so many neurotoxins that it can affect our respiratory system and our brain. In some cases, it can even produce heart failure. However, in the right hands, this liquid can improve the lives of many. For that reason, this venom is a very expensive liquid. Now it's time for the day's best pick. Well, the picture I chose for today shows us a liquid that doesn't have any water in it at all, at least when you find it in its purest condition. There are things on this list that are more expensive than this liquid, but this substance has very unique properties that makes it stand out. Let's find out more about it with number 2. Mercury. This shiny liquid metal is also known as quicksilver. I doubt you've actually seen it in its purest form, but I'm sure you've used things that have been made with this liquid, such as the thermometers you see at hospitals, or perhaps the one you even have at home. Compared to other elements, mercury is very rare on the Earth's surface, and this element is so interesting because when you pour it, it comes out in rounded beads of liquid. While mercury has been known to be toxic to us, some people found it useful to treat some diseases throughout history. Today, it's mostly used in the production of thermometers, but some people use it in other industries such as chemical and metal production. It's even used in agriculture to create effective fungicides and pesticides. As of today, a gallon of mercury can cost around $3,000. Yeah, it's not as expensive as other liquids I've shown you today, but it's definitely a very rare liquid with lots of useful properties. Before we move on, do me a favor. My analytics show that only about 15% of you watching are actually subscribed. Come on guys, what's up with that? Can you guys please hit the subscribe button? You guys watch my videos every day anyway, so you might as well subscribe and keep up to date with every video we put out. Number 1. Scorpion venom. And at the top of our list, we have another type of venom that is very useful in the medical field. While scorpion's venom is known for its very painful sting and the risk of paralysis, it is also useful to treat conditions like arthritis, multiple sclerosis, and some bowel diseases. People don't put their lives at risk the same way they do when they get the king cobra's venom, but getting scorpion's venom is quite difficult simply because you can only get a very tiny amount of venom every couple of weeks. You can't get a lot from them at once, and that's why a gallon of this liquid can cost nearly $35 million. And still, even if you don't need a gallon of this expensive liquid, a simple gram can cost about $8,000. But hey, some scientists even found it useful to treat brain tumors, so you can see why there are people out there eager to pay this high price. What's the most that you've paid for any kind of liquid? Have you had any experience with the liquids I mentioned today? Let us know in the comment section down below. With all that said and done, I will see you all next time. Later, everybody.